Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Good Global Vibes. I'm Marie McNeal. Today, I have a very special guest for you. Her name is Nova Whiteman. She is an author, speaker, NLP practitioner, life coach. She actually is also a Reiki master, but she actually coaches for Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God. So today, Nova and I are going to have a conversation about bringing the metaphysical into your everyday life and into the workplace. So let's welcome Nova to the show. Nova, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here and be talking about this particular topic because I'm uber passionate about it. So thank you for having me. Yeah.
Absolute pleasure to have you. So Nova, tell us, how would you support people in bringing the metaphysical into their everyday life and relationships and in business?
That is sort of the question of the hour when anybody's ever looking at this topic. But where I always encourage people to start is to just kind of relax about it. Because I think that, traditionally there's been this sort of stigma about anywhere, if you're using the word spirituality or the metaphysical or quantum physics or law of attraction, anything like that, there's this sort of like you have to hide in the spirituality or metaphysical closet. Or at least that's how it used to be. But it's now more and more, it's becoming just normal everyday conversation. We're headed in this direction anyway, where people are really starting to recognize that, hey, everything is energy. Thoughts become things. My emotions matter and actually direct my experience and the way that things unfold for me. There's far more to life than we've been told, and everybody's experienced it too. Everyone, no matter what your belief is, or whatever your religious or spiritual background, we all have this idea of miracles, of synchronicity, of serendipity, of deja vu, of things like that pretty much everyone can kind of include that in their vocabulary or their conceptual idea of the world. So it's kind of like bringing all that to the forefront and just saying, all right, relax. It's a thing now. Let's step into it. And hey, better yet, let's see how we can merge our spirituality into our humanity with our human life and use it for the purpose for which it was intended in business and relationships and health, all of that stuff.
If someone wanted a tip on, you're obviously a Conversations with God coach, right? Mm-hmm. So conversations being maybe one of the key words. So what is it like? Is there a conversation you would tell them to start having or stop having?
Well, I'll start with the stop. Stop having the conversation in your own head that says, oh, I'm going to sound weird if I bring this up, or I'm going to scare somebody if I say that I'm into spirituality or metaphysics, or I believe in the law of attraction, or I follow astrology, or, any of that kind of stuff. Or, hey, I read a series called Conversations with God. I oftentimes think about what Neil Donald Walsh had to go through because he released that book, the very first book, in like 1994 or 96 or something like that, 95 maybe. And the world was definitely not there yet, at least not as mainstream as it is now. And so to have a title like Conversations with God and to present a book as if it's him having a dialogue with the Almighty, that blew people away. It turned a lot of people off, but it also became an overnight bestseller, which, tells us something. It tells us that we're thirsty for this. We're thirsty for more meaning. We're thirsty for creating a more fulfilling experience of life and recognizing our own power. So let's not waste any time. Let's stop telling ourselves that this is weird or it has no place in business or relationships. And for what I would say to start saying, and the conversations that you might want to start having, is to be willing to share those moments of serendipity, of magic, of miracles, and normalize it. So many times I've seen this happen, and I've been there too, because, I've been on this sort of spiritual experience, being a spiritual having a human experience consciously since I was a kid, because I grew up this way. And I came across the Conversations with God series when I was 14 years old. So for the first part of that journey, it was very much so like, oh, I want to say this, oh, but I shouldn't. Oh, I want to share this. Oh, they're going to think I'm weird, and if I could go back to my younger self and I'd just be like, oh, just say it because they've experienced it too. And by you saying it, oh, did you feel that? I deja vu in that moment, or I swear I had a dream about this last night. Or, I was headed to a meeting and I was late for it. And I found out that, there was a car accident that I missed, or, something like that, those sort of miraculous serendipitous type occurrences. When you say it, other people are given permission to say it, and then we normalize it, and then we can leverage it.
Want to know what's so great about this very moment in serendipitous? In 1997, I was hit by a car and I started on a spiritual path. And the very first book I read was Conversations with God, book 1, the very first book. And then I loved it so much. I read the second book and then I couldn't wait to read the third book. But it was my very first spiritual book of my life. And then here you are, show up on Good Global Vibes. Like, there's no accidents in life. There's just no accidents. And it's beautiful, these serendipitous moments. And thank you for, sharing with us. Now, the other thing we know that you do is you help people keep their vibe up, and especially even in your own family. So what can you share with us about that?
Early on, I already knew this, but there's a difference between concept and experience. Like, I knew that every one of us is sensitive to energy, whether you identify as an empath or whatever language you want to use. Each of us can feel things. We're very sensory beings. You walk into a room that two people were just fighting in, and we have that common phrase, you can cut the tension with a knife. You can feel it. And so I knew that, and I knew that kids especially are very sensitive to energy. But when I had kids of my own, I was like, whoa, this is very, very true. And furthermore, these little energetic emotional sponges can sense the slightest change in my mood, in my energy, and in my tone of voice. I have 2 girls. They're now 11 and a half and 7 and a half. I learned early on that if I did not have my energy and my focus aligned, everything would go to crap in the household. Everybody would, the girls would, react to that, respond to that. And my husband always laughs too. He's like, oh gosh, you need to go meditate and come back in the room so we can have a harmonious atmosphere again. Even though nothing to the naked eye has changed, they can sense it. So that was my primary motivation, was, apply all of this stuff to myself first, learn how to manage and focus my energetic landscape, if you will, first, take responsibility for my energy first, because not only will that, I can lead by example, teach them how to do it. It just raises the vibration of the space and everyone in the space. So I think it's Abraham Hicks who says that one individual who's in alignment with who they really are, which is a really high vibration, right, is more powerful than a million who are not. When one person is in alignment with who they really are, they are more powerful than a million who are not.
Wow.
Yeah. And whether that number is accurate or not, who cares? You get the idea. It's your energy. One person's energy raises up, and it's going to automatically uplift those around them without their conscious knowing sometimes.
And so how would you tell someone to be responsible for their own energy? Like, how would you articulate that for someone who doesn't know how to be responsible for their own energy?
So I'll give you an example. I'll illustrate what this can look like. First and foremost, I engage in a daily practice. I call it my daily alignment practice, and I outline all of it in my book. And so every day it's part of my workday. This isn't what I get up early to do and then start my workday. It's part of my workday. I'll do things like daily gratitudes, journaling, meditation. There's other things. These are the ways that you essentially focus your energy into a higher vibrating state of alignment. In other words, it feels good to get your thoughts and emotions out on paper as you journal. It feels good to calm the external noise by going inward for meditation. It feels good to focus on gratitude. And when something feels good, you're raising your vibration. So that's the primary way. That's like the proactive way. And I always tell people, do that with consistency, and you have the keys to the kingdom. You have the keys to the universe if you implement any of this with consistency. But then in like a real life scenario situation, anybody who has young children will relate to this. When I would go pick up my kids when they were younger from daycare, and I mean, little like toddlers to, 5, 6, 7 years old, they are irrational, crazy people. They are savages. They are not civilized creatures. But they, that it was always like this witching hour. I'd pick them up around 4:30 or 5 or something like that. And kids, like, they can hold it together all day for their provider, their teachers. And then they see mom or dad and they'll just lose it. And it's like, they just saved it all for you. And, in their defense, it's because they feel safe, hopefully, with you, and they know you unconditionally love them. So it's a slap in the face, but also you trust me. So I would go pick them up, and it used to drive me nuts. They would just immediately melt down in the car and throw these tantrums. And I'd be like, are you kidding me? Like, I had this great day helping people, doing what I love. And I go pick you guys up and you just rain on my parade. And I would dread picking them up. So then I had to think, okay, they're not responsible for my mood. It's not because they're throwing a tantrum. It doesn't mean I have to just be in a crap mood the rest of the evening and then resent them for it. I'm responsible for my own energy. So what can I do differently? I began to line up my energy. So I would do my daily practice in the morning, but then I would also do a mini one right before going to pick them up. And on the way there, I'm looking out the window, naming all the positive aspects I can see. I'm grateful for the trees. I love the song that's on. Whatever you can focus on that's good is going to get you up here. And when you're up here, remember, this is alignment. When one person is in alignment, they're more powerful than those around them that are not. I can stay up here and therefore invite them to come up and meet me rather than me dropping down to meet them where they're at. Whether or not they actually threw a fit, it didn't matter. It made me less shakeable. I could then access empathy, compassion, love. I could hold that space for them rather than, look at it as you did this to me again, sort of thing, which I kind of feel silly about now that I've grown in that way. But back then it was a lot as a parent.
Tell us about your book, and tell us how, if someone wants to reach you for coaching or Reiki, or, how do they reach you?
Well, I'll make it really easy. It's just novawhiteman.com, and NOVAWIGHT is the Whiteman part. And actually, I have a free e-course that I think your listeners would really love, because it's called A 3-Day Journey to Raising Your Vibration. And I take
Perfect.
you through, like real practical things that you can do over the course of 3 days to train yourself into that higher vibrating state of alignment. You can also find my book, Awake and Aligned: How to Navigate the Human Experience as a Spiritual Being, on Amazon, and also on my website. And there's all sorts of resources. This is just about getting people to reconnect within and empower themselves and learn how to leverage that God-given energy that we've all been given.
Nova, thank you so much for coming on Good Global Vibes. It was just so beautiful to be with you and to be with someone who was so aligned.
Oh, thank you so much, Marie. I really appreciate it. This was a blast.
That was great. At Good Global Vibes, raising the vibration of the planet is important to us. And we brought you someone who does it for a living. She coaches people to raise their vibration and bring their spiritual alignment into everyday life. So please subscribe. She's even giving you a 3-day free e-course to raise your vibration. Like Gandhi says, be the change you want to see in the world. So I invite you to be the change you want to see in the world. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful week. Until next week. Aloha.